control. Breach in 5, 4, 3.
What's up, guys? I'm Uncle Freedom, coming to you on another glorious and well-deserved day off. And today, we're going to take a look at the next volume of the Minutemen Layout Series, and we're going to talk about your main rifle. Your main squeeze, your favorite boomstick, that's what we're going to talk about today. So if that sounds fun and interesting to you, go ahead, like, subscribe, tell a friend. The channel is growing. Share this video. Get some like-minded people involved. Every time you like one of these videos, it tells another dude like you that I exist, and that's pretty cool. If you're looking to support the channel, take a look in the description box down below, and you'll find a link that will take you to my Linktree account. That Linktree account has people like Dark Angel Medical, Gun Mag Warehouse, C&H Precision, 100 Concepts, Warren. If you were going to do it anyway and you use those links, it helps the channel, and for that, I thank you. If you're looking to get in touch with me, it's at Uncle Freedom 213 on Facebook or Instagram. Linktree accounts are on both of those pages, or UncleFreedom213 at Outlook.com. So when we talk about the rifle, when I wrote this series, I actually realized I couldn't do the rifle in one video. We had to do it in 3. So the first video is going to go over an outline of what this rifle should be and what it should meet. The second is going to be ammo considerations for you buying that rifle and what you should be looking at and what some of the terminology you're going to need to be familiar with is. And the third video will be on accessories and building out the rifle for the capability you want. So, in first one, rifle, what are we looking at? Well, we're looking at a semi-automatic, magazine-fed, gas-operated rifle. That's it. Pretty plain Jane. But where people get wrapped around the axle on this is they don't understand the capability the rifle should have. So we're going to go over that. So accuracy, I would venture to say that's the most important thing, because if you point it at stuff and it doesn't hit it when you pull the trigger, it's pretty much useless. So, and there is some truth to it's the Indian not an arrow thing, which I'll cover in just a second. So for accuracy, what are we looking at for this main battle rifle? Well, we are looking for a minimum of 1 to 3 MOA capable. We are talking about a rifle that is going to be viable from CQB distances inside of a room to 500 yards. Now that 1 to 3 MOA sounds arbitrary at first until I explain to you why I say that. So we're going to measure your capability and accuracy of your rifle by firing a minimum of 5 5-shot groups. You can do more. The ultimate way to do this is to fire 100 round groups so you can actually see the natural cone of dispersion of your firearm, because it does exist. But 5 5-shot groups are pretty much the minimum we can go with to tell us what it is. Now, if one of your groups in your 5 5-shot groups is a half-inch group, that's fantastic. You shot a really good group and you should be proud of that. But that does not mean your rifle is suddenly sub-MOA. If you have a rifle in 5 5-shot groups and all of them are below an inch, you have a sub-MOA rifle. However, what we're looking for is your average. So you're going to take all 5 of your group sizes, you're going to add them together, and you're going to divide them by 5. That's going to give you the average group size for your rifle. And that needs to fall between 1 MOA and 3 MOA. Now, the reason we've done this, the 1 MOA to 3 MOA, is we are looking at the capability for you to make first round cold bore impacts on a 3-inch target at 100 yards, or a 15-inch target, which is slightly, think reduced C-zone kind of, at 500 yards. That's what we want to be capable of with the platform that we have selected. If you are starting this off and you go to do your groups and the best group you turn out and you've got a 5 MOA gun, you need a more accurate gun. However, I will caveat it with this thing. If you take someone like me, who is a consistent sub-MOA shooter with pretty much anything I can get my hands on if the rifle's capable of it, and you hand me a 4 MOA rifle, I am going to get the maximum capability out of that rifle system because I am more accurate than the system. However, if I take a guy who is a 4 MOA at best shooter and put him on a 2 MOA or a 3 MOA or a 1 MOA rifle, I am going to at best get a 4 MOA group. So you need to make sure your fundamentals are squared away and you're solid. If you're concerned that maybe you're the reason the rifle isn't grouping, find somebody that's a better shooter than you and have them lay down 5 groups. that rifle, odds are, is going to be better than a 4 MOA. Now, your MOA is also dependent on your ammo. You are not going to put 55 grain ball ammo into here and turn out consistent groups that are super tiny. It just doesn't work that way. You got to feed it really good stuff to get that out of it. But again, the 1 to 3 MOA is based around the fact that I can make first round cold bore impacts on a 3-inch target at 100 yards or a 15-inch target at 500 yards. That's what we're looking for. So the questions you're going to have to ask yourself about this platform as you start selecting what it is you want to do is going to be magazine availability and magazine compatibility. That's one of your questions. So can you buy more mags for it? I am super excited you have a FAL, but how hard is it for you to find more FAL magazines? Also, if everyone in your group is running ARs, you're the odd man out. You don't have compatibility. You can't use their stuff. And the magazine you've selected is a lot more rare in the general populace than like an AR mag would be, or an AR-10 mag, or a Mini 14 mag even. So the next question we're going to ask is, what is the modularity of the platform that I have selected? That means, what is the capability I have with that rifle to flex it into different roles other than just a primary gun for this one thing? That means, how easy is it for me to mount optics? How easy is it for me to mount a laser aiming module? How easy is it to put a foregrip, a flashlight, bipods, whatever it is? How easy is that for me to do? Because if it's not, I have to make some decisions based on what the rifle's capability is. The next one is going to be, how easy is it to repair that platform? If you have to grind rivets off and re-rivet a part of your gun back together, your gun is not as repairable as an AR. This is a place that the AR platform just shines. If I destroy the bolt in my gun, I can take a whole new bolt carrier group, like this Radiant Enhanced Bolt Carrier group, throw it in there and go right back to work again. It's easy for me to maintain an upkeep in AR, much more so than it is for me to maintain and upkeep something like an AK. If I have to repair it, I'm not talking about just longevity of the platform. The next one would be the longevity of the platform. That's going to be the durability of what you have. If you have a gun that jams every time you blink at it, like a Kimber, odds are it is not what you need to be picking for this world. If you are not consistently, I see guys all the time that say this, and I feel for them because a lot of it comes from a place of ignorance that they don't know. But sometimes it's them desperately trying to justify a purchase that they've made, and that is the just as good crowd. If you have not fired, and here's another thing, you have to be honest with yourself, right? Don't shoot your groups and be like, oh, I called that flyer, it's okay. No, it's not okay. You still shot outside of the group, what you were trying to hit. Oops, I didn't mean to do that. I pulled that. It wasn't the gun's fault. That's exciting and great. But now that you've injured the wrong person, I'm sure they really care that it was you that did it, not the gun. But you see it a lot with this. You need to be honest about your rifle's capabilities. If you are running a rifle that you have not put 2,000 to 5,000 rounds on, which is not a lot of ammunition, and I hear people all the time like, I fired 500 rounds with no malfunctions. 500 rounds is not even a class. Like, classes are like 1,000 to 1,500 rounds, and that's a couple of days. Like, 500 rounds is nothing in the scope of things when we start talking about the longevity of a firearm. 3,000 to 5,000 rounds, you pretty much have figured out what's going on. You're in the realm where we're now replacing things like gas rings, stuff like that, to make the firearms work. It's worn in. It's broken. It's doing as good as it's going to do, and you also have more than double what you shot left on the life expectancy. If you're at 4,000 rounds, you've still got 6,000 to 7,000 rounds of whatever accuracy level you had. So you're not even at the half-life of it yet. But if you're not putting that kind of ammunition through what you're doing, it's not a proven system. And I'm sorry if it hurts your feelings or you're bummed out by that statement, but it's true. You also need to be firing this in different conditions. I will tell you that firing a rifle outside when it's 20 below zero has much different considerations than it does if I'm outside and it's 74. The lube has to be different. Things won't work. They'll short stroke. Ammunition functions at a different pressure because it's 20 below zero. Same thing happens if it's 110 and it's a super hot load. I can start popping primers. If you don't fire it in a bunch of different conditions, you'll never know that. The next thing we're going to think about when we look at this is we're going to talk about our expected engagement distances. Now, we've already established that this gun needs to be capable of a 15-inch target first round hit at 500 yards. But if I am in a place where I am expected my minimum engagement to be 300 yards because practicality of where I live, and I could be engaging at as much as 1,000 yards sometimes, maybe, depending on how the situation is going. Remember, if we're in a Minutemen situation, you are most assuredly in a without rule of law world all of a sudden. What is your expected engagement distance? If I am expected to engage routinely at 200 to 400 yards, but almost never at 50 yards, that is going to influence my barrel length, my caliber, my muzzle device, suppressor, not suppressed, the stock that I have on this thing, whether I have a bipod, the optic that I have on here. All of that is done off the fact that, hey, I'm going to spend more time doing this than I ever am this. Which brings me to your next part of this, which is what is the environment of your operations expected to be? Are you in an urban environment where the longest shot you may have is 100 yards? Are you in a rural environment where you may have line of sight to 1,700 yards? What are you in a mix? Are you in an outskirt where you can have some stuff in that 300 to 500 range, but you could also be expected to be in an alley in a gunfight, right? This is stuff we have to look at. We also have to look at, is it incredibly rainy where you are? Does it snow all of the time? Are you on the coast with saltwater spray that can really impact the durability of your firearm? You have to think about all of these things. The next is going to be your primary assumed mission of what you're going to do. If you are in a group of people and your primary job is that of a designated marksman, your rifle needs to reflect the fact that you are really supposed to do this job that requires you to shoot better than the other people. If your primary role is supposed to be as an entry guy, newsflash, CQB is not a smart decision in this world. If your primary role is that, though, of a CQB guy, you might want a shorter firearm, but you're going to have to make decisions in the ammunition realm and in the suppressor realm and in the add-ons we have onto the rifle to optimize yourself for that job. So the next thing we're going to talk about, and we kind of talked about this a little bit, which is your magazine availability and your compatibility. How easy is it to find more magazines if suddenly you can't go to the store? Just a thought. The next one's going to be the weight of the platform. I have built a Mark 18 that weighed like 11 pounds before. I took all of that light, handy, super awesome firearm platform and I turned it into a workout to clear rooms with it. So you have to take that into consideration. And that's also a consideration when we talk about ammo. 308 is a hell of a lot heavier than 5.56. So weight of your platform. The next one is going to be noise, flash, recoil. If your gun recoils so hard, you have no capability to spot your own shots. You need to do something unless you're functioning with a designated spotter that can spot your shots. If you fire it because you've got a 12-inch 308 because you thought that was a great idea and you're shooting a 6-foot-long fireball every time you pull the trigger, you are now, you are absolutely going to compromise your own people. You're a liability if we get into something and you're shooting 5-inch flames at the front of your stuff in the dark. And the next one's going to be sound. I know that muzzle brake is cool. If you do CQB with me and I get blasted by your muzzle brake, I'm going to punch you in the head. It's loud, it's obnoxious, it kicks up lots of dirt, which causes a problem. So if you're not going to run suppressed, a flash hider is your best game over a brake any day of the week. Flash hiders, man. They really work, but I would highly recommend, if we're in this world, you need to be striving towards a suppressor, possibly with a brake on your stuff, so that you have that sacrificial baffle going into there and it reduces your visual signature and it makes your sound signature a lot harder to detect a place of. The next one is going to be your ammo flexibility, and that's going to dovetail perfectly into the last point of this. The ammo flexibility is, if you are shooting a 5.56, I got news for you. You have ammo flexibility from about 32 grains to like 79 grains. Above that, if we can single round insert. If we're doing 308, we're 110 to like 220, right? This is ammo like flexibility. I can select rounds to do specific jobs with that platform. However, if I'm running a 6.5 Creedmoor, I'm a lot more limited as to what I can do with that platform, just because the amount of rounds aren't available to do it the way I could do it with a 308 or a 6 arc or a 5.56 gun. So, I mean, even an AK falls into the realm that there's really not a lot of ammo flexibility. You're either running like the 123 grain full metal jacket, and then there's like a soft point. And there's occasionally some weird stuff like super shock tip and stuff like that from Hornady. But for the most part, you're going to be severely limited in what you can make your bullets do compared to some of these other calibers, which we're going to get to in the next video. So if you're an ammo nerd at all, you're going to love the next video. If you want to be an ammo nerd or you just don't know much about ammo, you're also going to love the next video. But I would say bring a notebook because there's going to be a lot of points. And last but certainly not least, on this rifle selection criteria is logistics. Logistics run everything. The reason that armies are powerful is because they have a dedicated logistics train to bring bullets, beans, and band-aids to the front lines to keep the fight moving. Fuel, tires, maintenance on vehicles, parts for your firearm, more ammunition, magazines, all of this stuff is a logistics problem. How easy is it for you to source parts, ammunition, magazines, batteries for your lights, your laser aiming stuff, your optics? How easy is it for you to source that stuff if you can't order it online anymore? Logistics run this. If you are not paying attention to logistics and you just think it's going to work right, you're only looking at half of the problem. Because if push comes to shove and you find yourself needing something else to fix this thing that you've got, and you don't have the normal logistics train, your life is going to get very difficult. So logistics are a big one. Can you source parts, ammo, batteries, all of that stuff for your platform? A big one is, can you source another tape switch? The correct answer to this is, I have another tape switch. You have to think about the logistical part of selecting out your firearm. So guys, that was Rifle Part 1. Stay tuned. The next video will be up shortly. That is Rifle Part 2. That is going to be your ammo selection and considerations for your Minutemen primary weapons system. So guys, I am Uncle Freedom. Take care of yourself, take care of each other, and until next time, I'll see you later.